But still very much looking at some active weather for us heading into this evening. Looking at our latest severe weather threats, you can see we're still highlighted into that likely range for strong storms, but most notably north and east of central Ohio, where we're expecting more widespread, numerous strong-lived storms, kind of like what we saw for us as we are going into the early afternoon. But again, we're going to gradually see these storms weaken from the northwest to the southeast, and that's going to be primarily the cold front, which you can clearly see up to the north. This is going to be pushing. But what I wanted to show you again was just the time lapse that we had with these storms earlier. This is the past 6 hours, and just east of Kenton, where we had that first tornado warning, you can see here it starts shortly after noon. Nearly 2 hours it passes through Marion, southern Richland County, where we see 2 confirmed tornadoes, and that's just within the reports that we had from law enforcement, from the fire department east of Kenton, and then southern Richland County just south of Mansfield, where we saw the second, which was by a train spotter, and then still saw some very strong storms that then passed through parts of Holmes County, included parts of Coshocton County. So we essentially just had a lot of ripe ingredients in play, and these storms formed ahead of the cold front, which you would think the long line of storms would be more dangerous. Well, yes, you still deal with damaging winds, but the tornadic activity isn't really as common as what it would be with some of these more discrete cells that we were dealing with earlier today. And for the most part, we've just been dealing with the heat here in Columbus. Feels like 91 degrees. Dew points I saw were as high as 73 degrees. Very humid. Winds are also breezy out of the west-southwest at 17 miles an hour, but notice we're really not seeing a whole lot in town. The good news is these storms, as they've been moving through parts of Indiana, they've been weakening because the atmosphere is kind of overworked from what we had earlier today going through the afternoon, and especially to the southwest near the tri-state area, where we also had a lot of storm activity to start the day. But it wasn't so much the case north and east, where you saw a lot more sunshine, a lot more variables in play for these storms to really fire up, which we're still seeing that as the case, where we're seeing more favorable conditions for some strong storms with another severe thunderstorm warning over towards Holmes County, but a little bit more active with our radar for us. And as I said, this is going to gradually drift to the south and east. We are seeing some isolated downpours pop up across parts of central Ohio, and we'll put this back on a loop for you. You can see just east of Union County, we're starting to see some of these showers move in. I also have the lightning detector on there, not picking up anything, so also a good sign for us heading into this evening. But we're really not seeing a whole lot pop up towards Urbana and Bellefontaine, and that would be more or less what I would expect to eventually drift closer to Columbus, but things still looking pretty nice and dry. Just along 22 there in the eastern parts of Fairfield County, moving into western Perry County, we'll likely see a few isolated downpours. We had some shower activity down near Chillicothe. That has since then pushed east. That's going to head towards Vinton. Might see some of those downpours as far east over towards Athens over the next hour or so. But for the most part, we're not done yet with the storm potential. The overall severe threat looks like it's trending in a direction where we're not going to be looking at the storms, especially of the magnitude of what we saw earlier today, up through Kenton, through Marion, and through parts of northern Knox County, Morrow County as well, even into Coshocton, where you're there on the cusp of some of those tornado warnings. But things are just still very warm and humid out there, so I wouldn't be surprised if we still have enough energy out there, even going into this evening, where we could have a rogue strong storm kind of pop up, which that'll likely occur in the next couple hours for us. So here's your latest hour by hour. Models have been hinting that most of the strong activity is going to be primarily east and northeast of Columbus, but as we approach 9 o'clock, that's where we could see perhaps a storm come through, where it could be a bit on the strong side. But for the most part, looks like we'll see an overall weakening trend, which will be great news. And then by the time we head into Sunday morning, we'll see some patchy fog possibly through the morning, and then by the late afternoon, we're looking at some upper level clouds moving in, sign of more changes to come, but looking overall pretty dry for your Sunday. Our next system, though, will be arriving as we head into late Sunday night, where we'll then be talking about the chance for some more showers and storms potentially to start the week. Your hour by hour tomorrow, some fog in the morning, temperatures warming back up into the mid to upper 80s later in the afternoon with more clouds overhead. And if you're missing out on the sunshine, well, probably not the best day to see it anyways, because we are going to be looking at dew points into the 70s, feeling like it's close to 90. And as I mentioned, going into Sunday night, we will be watching our next threat for some showers and storms moving into the morning on Monday. But then it's looking like we're also going to be looking at another round of storms going into the evening hours Monday that's going to be sweeping up from the west, pushing east as we head into Monday night. That'll be associated with that cold front, which will be responsible for a much cooler start to the day on Tuesday, where we'll then see temperatures back in the mid to upper 70s and then slowly warming back up towards the end of next week.